Yes, hello everyone and welcome to all our West Australian football fans to another edition of Around the WAFL in a brand new home. Thanks to the folks at Perth Podcasting for housing us for the rest of the 2024 season. It's going to be a very exciting move and a very exciting rest of the football season as well. My name is Paul Persick. It's a great pleasure to have your company on YouTube and where you get your podcast. And alongside me, the man who made his Colts commentary debut on Saturday afternoon, Ethan Roth. Ethan, job well done and welcome to another edition of Around the WAFL.
Thanks, Paul. Yeah, learnt off you a bit then in the commentary side of things. So, yeah, pleasure to be back on. And, yeah, brand new studio. It's fabulous here. Obviously, the nice backdrop as well. So
now you're talking. How about that?
Yeah.
Absolutely tremendous.
Hot off the heels, ready for another week.
No doubt about it. And it's a big round as well. We're going to review round 6 for you today here on Around the WAFL on YouTube and where you get your podcast. And in just a moment, we're going to have a chat with Swan star forward Leigh Kohlmann, who kicked another bag of 4 goals in their win over Claremont. We'll also cast the votes for the Around the WAFL Player of the Year. But first, here's how you can win big.
Punt from 50. Win. Little too into the game? Win. Too cocky? Nah, almost a win. Risking it all for the glory? Win. It's win-win at the WAFL. Great footy, food and entertainment. Find out more at waffle.com.au.
Well, there's going to be plenty of big win-wins in the WAFL over the next couple of weeks, and there was a big win for Swan Districts, 17-point winners over Claremont, and this man was absolutely clutch up forward in the game against the Tigers at Revo Fitness Stadium, kicking 4 goals and helping the Swans secure their first win in Claremont in 12 years. He wears the number 5, he kicked 4, and he was the number 1 forward for the Swans on Saturday. Leigh Kohlmann, he's good enough to join us here on Around the WAFL. Leigh, welcome to the show and congratulations on a great win.
Hey, thanks for having me. Yeah, cheers for the kind words there.
Tell me about this, Leigh. It was a massive game. Your role was absolutely critical in that win over the Tigers when the pressure was really on in that last quarter, because there's been a lot of questions about how the Swans approach close finishes and how they were able to finish off their opponents with 10 minutes to go. Had a problem with that the previous week against East Fremantle, and now you were able to get it done against the Tigers.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I didn't feel like it was too much of an issue. It was just that one game, I guess, against East Fremantle where it didn't really end very well for us with the East Fremantle kicking 3 goals in a row late. Obviously, it wasn't ideal, but yeah, it felt like we turned it around pretty well against Claremont. There was actually a little bit of a breeze in that last quarter, so I think coming into 3/4 time when it was even, I think we were pretty confident we could get the job done in the last quarter there.
And just coming back to the Swan Districts footy club this year, what was the motivation there? Obviously spending some years in Bunbury, but what was the thought process behind coming back to Swans at this later stage of your career?
Yeah, it's a funny one. I didn't think I was going to come back to WAFL for a while there, but yeah, no, I just been hearing really good things about Swan Districts and the club and the atmosphere and how Pruitt had been sort of running things there, and then ended up having a chat with him and just had a good general chat about footy, and I don't know, yeah, it just happened to get me motivated again to want to play at that level and yeah, sort of work harder and yeah, get that more fulfillment, I guess, from that higher level and yeah, just been enjoying my footy more as well. And
you've been playing alongside some tremendous players in that Swan District side. Talk about the likes of Jesse Turner, Josh Shepro, Jarvis Pina, and a couple of good young talents as well in McLaughlin, Glass McCasker, and so on and so forth. What's it like to play with that good blend of youth and experience in the Swan District side?
Yeah, it's been great. I think it's the best team I've played in so far. I think last time I was at Swans, comparing it to that, like our squad's like so good this year. I feel like pretty confident in our team going forward. And yeah, obviously getting to play with those players helps a lot as a forward, like with the ball coming in and the way we can move it down the ground, like sort of allows me to get into some more forward craft as opposed to just like sitting long down the line. Yeah, and just bring the ball to ground. So no, it's been great.
And a tough test in round 7 coming up against Peel. Obviously, they're coming off a monster 100-plus point win. So, yeah, you guys are going to have your work cut out, but you must be really looking forward to that battle.
Yeah, I guess it's pretty daunting when you see that score line against West Perth from last week. But no, we'll be pretty confident in our squad, I think, especially at home. So yeah, we'll look at their vision and sort of work out how we want to play our game, and yeah, hopefully it goes well this weekend.
What's the experience like playing at Steel Blue Oval? It's been noted that the Swan Districts fans, some of the most loyal and passionate in the WAFL, and you've got the Canbar there, the rowdy Canbar acting as the 19th man in the team. What's it like to play in front of such a great, passionate crowd at WAFL level?
Yeah, no, it's awesome. Yeah, it makes basically football a lot more fun, I guess. You get especially having wins out there after the game. It's really good atmosphere, and yeah, everyone's happy. So yeah, it gives you that extra motivation, I guess, when you're out in the field.
Now, it's going to be a big game over there at Steel Blue Oval against Pure Thunder on Saturday. The side at the top of the ladder, the Swans in the 5 as well. But no doubt it is going to be a big contest on Saturday. Leigh, we really appreciate your time. Congrats on your form up forward so far, and all the best for Saturday.
Cool. No worries. Thanks for having me.
That was Leigh Kohlmann, the man who wears the number 5. He kicked 4, and he was the number 1 forward for the Swans on Saturday against the Tigers in that 17-point win, Ethan. He's in his early 30s, and he's still playing like he's only been in the WAFL for a couple of years or so. He's playing some amazing football up forward, being their number 1 source to goal.
Yeah, remarkable comeback to WAFL footy. Obviously, he said he kind of wanted to play at the higher level and probably lost that, not motivation, but lost that, coming back to WAFL footy.
That drive, isn't it?
That drive,
come back to
that's
WAFL
the word
footy.
I'm looking for. So, play at a high level, and he said the best team he's ever played for. So, that's a pretty good rap for the Swans boys.
It's a really good compliment. Really good compliment to the youth and experience of that Swan District side, who face a big test on Saturday against Pure Thunder. That game is live, free and in full on the AFL app and also on Channel 7. Speaking of big weekend, round 7, WAFL Wonderland is returning to Leederville.
Get to WAFL Wonderland to watch Subiaco take on South Fremantle at Sullivan Logistics Stadium in Leederville from 12:30 this Saturday. It's WAFL footy with a wonderland of food trucks, giveaways, DJ and kids activities. Tickets at waffle.com.au.
That is going to be huge. WAFL Wonderland at Sullivan Logistics Stadium for the Subiaco South Fremantle contest. That game we will preview on Thursday here on Around the WAFL on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. Make sure you check that out. Let's get to the game. Starting things off with that big win for East Fremantle in round 6 this past weekend over Subiaco. 57 points to margin. The Sharks, Ethan, didn't wrap it up until the last quarter. They just kicked away a 7-goal to 3 behind quarter, sealing the deal for the reigning premiers.
Yeah, making the most of that after the siren win and building their momentum. So, a bit shell-shocked this game. I didn't think, I tipped Subi, but I knew if East Fremantle was going to win, I thought it would be close. But it's a bit of a blowout in the end, especially in that last quarter. They sort of ramped over the top of them.
And they certainly did, and especially when you have Bryn Teakle dominating in the ruck, Fraser Turner, Milan Murdoch, and Jack Cleaver seeing plenty of football. That really made the big difference for East Fremantle. And Subiaco, despite the experience they have in their midfield rotation, they just couldn't find any answer. They weren't desperate enough, Subiaco. East Fremantle just showed it a little bit more, especially in the second and the fourth quarters. That's where the game was won from East Fremantle's point of view. Massive 6 goals in the second quarter and then following up with 7 in the last, after being held quite well in the third by a very strong Subiaco backline.
Yeah, it was close to the game throughout. And you mentioned Brent Teakle there. Like, big rucks don't grow on trees, but big rucks who kick goals as well don't grow on trees even more so. So, yeah, he's having an outstanding start to the year.
No doubt about it. Another 3 goals for him. He's in terrific form.
He'll feature in the state team as well. But Cody Leggett bagging 4 goals as well. Nice to see him back on the score sheet.
Absolutely, and in terrific form from the outset. 4 goals, 14 possessions, and 10 marks as well. I mean, after a couple of weeks in reserves and battling through injury, to see him back into that great form that we saw him in that premiership year last year for East Fremantle is a big statement that here we go again. The experience is well and truly back. And when you get a couple more players back like Harry Marsh and John O'Marsh later in the season, watch out. East Fremantle are going to again become a juggernaut.
It'll be competitive for spots, that's for sure. But yeah, we've always known Leggett's had the talent. Obviously, as you said, some injury battles and, coming back through the reserves. But if he can be fit and firing, that adds another avenue to goal for East Fremantle and even more headaches for the defence of the opposing teams.
No doubt about it. Speaking of forwards, Ben Sokol made his return to the league side. He kicked 3 goals, as well as Will Hickmott got plenty of possessions. He had 21. Liam Hickmott, who we're going to speak to on Thursday on Around the WAFL, had 26 as well. But again, they were second to the ball a lot. They were just out-muscled, outplayed, and they had 10 less inside 50s to add to that. So Subiaco, just feeling a little bit dented in their confidence and now going up against a rejuvenated South Fremantle side on Saturday, it's going to be another test for them.
It's a massive clash, when you think of it. because South is going to be hungry to make 5 on the trot, as we'll touch on. So, yeah, it's a massive clash. I know they'll probably be very, very motivated throughout the week and discussing what happened in that last quarter, especially because, you know, while they might not have won the game, it was continued. There's certainly a big difference between a loss and a 8+ goal loss.
No doubt about it, and it was a massive loss for Subiaco, but a massive win for East Fremantle. Winners by 57 points. Staying with massive wins, what about Peel Thunder over West Perth? Good golly, who saw this margin coming at Lane Group Stadium? 25-14 to 7-9, 113 points, but Peel Thunder dominant all day, and they rocket back to top spot.
Right from the get-go.
Oh, yeah.
43-2 at one point, and you just knew from there West Perth it was going to be tough for them to claw their way back. But even then, I mean, 100+ points doesn't happen often to West Perth. So, especially with the trip down to Mandurah, wouldn't want to be one of those players' cars on the way back home.
No, always a daunting trip, one of the toughest in the WAFL. But Peel Thunder, right from the get-go, 6 goals to 1 in the first quarter, and were never challenged. They just kept ramping up the pressure on the ball. They keep winning the contested football, and they just took West Perth right out of their game. West Perth, all of their players were down. I mean, I've never seen a more insipid performance from West Perth than what I saw on Saturday. I mean, when you talk about, the experience of Black, who had only 14 disposals, who would have thought he'd have 14 disposals? He had 16 the week before in that loss to South Fremantle. Luke Meadows only 21. Shane Nelson, he was held well, only 19 disposals. So many of the players were down, didn't get a lot of the football. Tyler Keitel, he had no backup up forward.
He didn't, yeah. I mean, obviously Jack Marty kicked 2 goals, but Keitel, Scaife, probably his, second quiet game. He's had a brilliant start to the year, but when you start getting beaten by that badly as a forward, you're not going to get much supply. You mentioned the midfield. Connor West was probably the lone hand, battled hard all day, but just didn't have any sort of soldiers with him.
Yeah, didn't have a support. There was no passengers for the driver, so to speak. Connor West was the driver in that midfield that day and didn't receive any backup from any of his passengers. They were just overwhelmed as well by the onslaught of Peel Thunder pressure and the experience and the depth that Peel have got through their local players and their Fremantle players. Going to Peel Thunder, weren't they just magnificent on Saturday? Brady Gray, 38 disposals. Neil Erasmus, back in the Peel side, played brilliantly. 34 disposals, had 5 tackles. Liam Reedy, electric in the ruck. 43 hitouts. His follow-up work doesn't get credited as much as it should, because when he follows up his own knock while going in the ruck, he is very, very effective. He also had 8 inside 50s as well when providing that supply for his forwards.
He's a luxury to have. Brady in his team. Yeah, we sing his praises a lot. His follow-up work, it's a good point, because it's something he's improved upon. Probably when he joined the competition last year, he was a bit more of a stand and deliver ruckman, but now, as he's developed, he's getting more used to the competition. He's adding other avenues to his game and his repertoire.
Certainly is, and that's making him one of the more dominant ruckmen in the competition, alongside Bryn Teakle and Oliver Easton of the Claremont Football Club. Looking at some of the team stats as well, it was quite alarming from a West Perth point of view, but absolutely pleasant for Peel Thunder. 39 to 16 scoring shots, and they had almost 30 more inside 50s, Peel Thunder. That's how dominant they were all day, and deservedly, they're the team to beat.
Yeah, and I speak about it a lot, like the balance of Peel Thunder's local players. You got Tuia, I'm really impressed by him. It's a very small player. It can be hard at that size to make an impact at league level, but hits the scoreboard with 2 goals. Taj Wybird, we've spoken about him in the past. Wem, all these guys.
And Sam Sturt as well, who kicked 4.
Yeah, all these guys. Delaney, Sears, Jack Sears. I mean,
impressive.
He's one of the breakout players of the competition, adding a state cap to his feather later this month. So he is just keep going from strength to strength, really.
Yeah, Jack Sears, since his qualifying final performance last year, he's just gotten better. I think that was the game that really defined him as a match-winning forward, and he's proving to be such once again in the key games so far this season, including that massive win over West Perth, another 3 goals from 13 disposals. I reckon he's one that could cause some defenders a lot of headaches.
Yeah, and I think it's a hard one for defenders, because he's kind of that in-between. He's not necessarily a key forward, but he's not a small forward. He's sort of that mid-ranger like Sturt, so I think opposition defenders can find that hard to match up on, because he is so rangy and he's so agile.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And Peel Thunder, they've got a lot of agility in that forward line. That's something that West Perth are lacking a lot so far in 2024. And Peel Thunder rocketing to the top of the ladder. A massive win over West Perth, 113 points at Lane Group Stadium, and back on top of the competition. Well, what about this? Game 3 at Revo Fitness Stadium on the Saturday. Swan Districts, their first win in Claremont for 12 years, 9-9-63 to 6-10-46. There was a lot of doubt about Swan Districts in that last quarter. There was a lot of doubt before the last quarter, I should say, whether Swan Districts can finish it off or whether they're going to fall apart and capitulate, because we know their record in close games. It isn't very good. They're not able to sew it up, but they did on Saturday through the likes of Aidan Clark, Jai Shallcraft, Jesse Turner and Josh Shepro. They made a huge difference, like Leigh Kohlmann, as we mentioned earlier, who kicked 4 goals. It's a statement win for the Swans over the Tigers, who are now 1-4.
Yeah, they didn't want history to repeat itself, did they, the Swans? They've obviously been notorious for, I guess, last quarter fade-outs, and a week is a long time in footy. You go back, they lose after the siren, and then this week, you arguably win the game off the back of the last quarter. So kudos to you, Paul. You got your crystal ball out again.
Thank you
just
very much.
Delivering it. I don't know how. You're just a mastermind of the waffle.
I'm not sure about mastermind. I think there's more that are smarter than I am. But,
your predictions are just through the roof at the moment.
I had a feeling that Swan Districts were going to come back because, this was a danger game for them, because on paper, when you look at their side, look at the players they've got. Aidan Clark, Jesse Turner, Josh Shepro, a young Jackson McLaughlin who's blossoming, Tony Knott, who again was spectacular down back and took a contender for Mark of the Year, let me tell you that. And the South Australian Nick Rokar, who's come into the WAFL and has taken to the league like a fish to water. Look at the depth they have on paper, youth and experience. That's a side that should be making finals. And if they could beat a big scalp in Claremont, who was scouted to be a finals contender pre-season, and now they're in huge trouble at 1-4, huge statement for Swan Districts to make.
Yeah, Shallcraft and Rokar, they're like yin and yang. They just complement each other so well, the two recruits. But Claremont, I don't know where that leaves them, honestly. I didn't really see it coming because, I guess it got to the last quarter, the game was in the balance. I just thought Claremont would run over the top of them at home, given Swan District's struggles in recent times in the last quarter. But I don't know. Maybe it was a change of affairs in the sense that Claremont just thought they were going to get the job done.
They thought they were going to pencil this one in, but it turns out they got an absolute wake-up call. And think about it, their record at home last year was good. They only lost once. And now their record at home this year, they've lost 2 out of their first 3 games at home. Their record at home at the moment is a disaster.
Yeah, well, we always thought of it as a fortress, but that's worrying signs. And Swans breaking a 12-year drought.
Unbelievable.
Claremont, nice to see Aidan Clark celebrate with that final goal as the cream
wasn't
on
he
top.
happy? Wasn't he happy?
Giving it a few to the Claremont supporters, I'd imagine.
No, that was a great goal. And the fact that he was able to create that opportunity off his own back, spin out of the congestion, go onto the left foot and seal the deal for the Swan side, it was absolutely unbelievable. From a Claremont point of view, again, they relied on their experienced midfielders. While it's good, they were getting plenty of the football, but they just need that backup. They need their young boys to step up.
They do, yeah. It's interesting. I was hearing the other day, and I don't know if this is related, but Claremont generally get a lot of guys drafted, right?
Yes.
There's 12 in the state side for the 18s this year. And while that's great for them and their football program, because they're getting drafted, then there's not as many midfielders or guys coming through the league team, which impacts their future.
And the continuity of the side as well. That creates an impact on them.
So, yeah, it's interesting. Those probably two go hand in hand. It's a successful club, but who are the young guys in the midfield really coming through? They have blooded a few, but who are the guys really stepping up? The second, third year midfielders that can overtake your Boltons and your Rogers, because let's face it, they can't do it forever.
Yeah, absolutely. The body's going to wilter, at some time, at their age, they're going to get to their last year eventually and having to hang up the boots. So the question is now, who is going to really pick up where those two have left off? So the young Claremont side, the young Claremont contingent of that side is going to be under the spotlight. There were a couple of positives for Claremont, however. Lachlan Martinez, in his 100th game, played a good roll down back, took 8 intercept marks. Oliver Eastland, again, winning the battle in the ruck, 37 hitouts and 16 disposals as well. Really, those are the only 2 positives from a Claremont point of view.
Yeah, it's good to see Martinez make his 100 milestone, waffle footy, that not a lot of players get there. It's a good dedication and commitment. So obviously had him on the show. So yeah, he's been a star for a while in the back line.
Congratulations to Lachlan on that milestone, 100 games. But it was the Swans that tasted victory by 17 points at Revo Fitness Stadium, their first win in Claremont for over a decade. Now let's go to the 4th game, South Fremantle and Perth over at Fremantle Oval. South Fremantle just too good. Another win on the board. They are looking the goods, joining East Perth and Peel Thunder at the top of the ladder. And it wasn't just their experience, it was their young brigade as well, especially Isaiah Winder leading the charge. He has been sensational. 30 possessions in another quality performance.
Yeah, probably his best game of the year. 35 disposals and 3 goals. Straight away you read off the stat sheet and he's had a day out. So, they're they're on a rampage at the moment, the South Random Football Club. I was saying to you off air before, they've probably already overachieved. I know some might say, oh, they're versus some lesser opponents, but you can only play who's in front of you.
Absolutely, and they've beaten some good quality opposition. And while it is true that you can say that they've overachieved a little bit, because no one really thought that they would come back so quickly, especially after being hit with that 8-point penalty at the start of last year, and also having plenty of injuries to their experienced and young players who were starting to blossom. You can't really have South Fremantle rather down for too long. You can't have the Bulldogs down for too long, especially with the belief that the players have got in themselves and the belief that Coach Todd Curley has gotten their players and gotten his players as well. So it's really delivered for the Bulldogs so far. Hayden Schloith, 26 disposals. He again played brilliantly. Tom Bletchenden, 27. Isaiah Winder, as I said, led the charge with 30. But I tell you what, Josh Branke in the ruck, he was absolutely terrific. 35 hitouts and 5 disposals. Not as much follow-up work, but he was able to get those vital hitouts to advantage and provide that supply for his on-ballers.
It's a nice step forward, isn't it, for the ruck? They've probably struggled for a bona fide ruckman since, I guess, the Brockigans and those sort of guys of the WAFL. So, yeah, that's positive for him. And they really kicked away after half-time. I thought, it was a bit of a scrappy affair, but Demons probably hurt themselves in front of goal a little bit.
4 goals, 13, not a very pleasant figure.
It's not, but I mean, the Demons they seem to be very good at home, and then struggling on the road a bit.
Yeah, they're struggling for consistency. They're struggling for consistency a little bit here, the Demons. And while only few players had good games, Charlie Thompson had the 22 disposals, Josh Edwards in the ruck, got those hitouts to advantage. His follow-up work was very good. They're just struggling for consistency and that missing link now that, of course, Charlie Constable, he's out for a long time as a result of the syndesmosis issue with his ankle. So they haven't been able to really find someone to step up in his shoes.
Yeah, it's a big blow. And you wouldn't expect one of the youngsters to come in and be a Charlie Constable. So, they need to probably have 2 or 3 guys, filling that void. But interesting to see Blake Schlenslog up against his old side as well. What a bit of reception for him there.
Had a bit of a tough day. Had a bit of a tough day over there at Fremantle Oval against his old side. Only the 8 disposals, but he's in a side that is still looking for consistency, even under a former premiership coach, Peter German, who's got tremendous experience. It's a tough road for Perth. I mean, we slated them to be big improvers. They have improved to an extent, but they're still looking for a consistent formula with the side that they have got.
Yeah, it's sort of which Perth is going to show up.
Yeah, which Perth
by a week basis at the moment. So they'll be looking to figure that one out.
I reckon they'll still figure it out before the halfway point. Before we go past round 10. So give it a few more weeks to see where Perth are truly at. I don't think it's the same old Perth, but they're still looking for those chinks in their armour.
And we can't just expect it to come overnight as well.
No.
So it'll take time, as I said. But for the Demons faithful, I know they probably won't hear that. They've been waiting 40 plus years for a flag.
Yeah, since 77.
So there's only so much we can say that as well. And I do feel the pain.
No, same. You'd love to see those sides that have struggled for a long time to finally succeed. But it was the Bulldogs that succeeded on Saturday. A big win to the tune of 7 goals over the Perth Demons at Fremantle Oval. Now to the final game of round 6. East Perth getting the job done by 73 points over the West Coast Eagles at Sullivan Logistics Stadium. But it did come at a cost. Their key forward, Mitch Schofield, damaged his ankle severely. He could be out for some time. But for the Eagles as well, Clay Hall, his AFL debut, may have to wait a little longer. He got reported in that game for misconduct.
Yeah, so he'll have to wait and see what his fate is. But yeah, this was actually a close game, sort of halfway through.
To an extent, up until half-time.
The Eagles were competitive, but how can we go past Darcy Craven's amazing debut? I mean, 4 goals, small forward, been coming through the Colt system, bide his time, and then the reward is just amazing.
He's a good young forward, isn't he? Not only is he able to maintain delivery, when getting the ball at ground level, he's good in the air as well, and he's got a good turn of speed inside the 50. When he gets the ball in his hand, and his acceleration through the congestion is hard to stop.
Yeah, he's only a little fella, but took a nice clunk, I think, to kick one of his goals. Nice contested grab, so he can do it both at ground level, as you'd expect.
And with both feet as well.
Yeah, very skilled.
No, it was a great debut for Darcy Craven. Congratulations to him. 4 goals and the 17 touches as well. And think about it, East Perth, they were even without Scotty Jones, who's subject to a test on his calf, and they were also without Hamish Brayshaw as well. He didn't play as well, but they were still able to get the job done after half-time.
He was, yeah. The depth is the key here. They not to say they've been over-reliant on Hamish Brayshaw, but, maybe last year you thought Brayshaw out, where does that leave them? But now, they're they're so depth-filled. You know, I was saying last week, you got guys like Amaduri who can go in there, Tedesco, those guys, those big bulls. So you can
Michael
give it a
Randall
chop
as
out.
well.
Michael Randall. So they're really well placed, and yeah, even a guy like Adam Bowers who hit the scoreboard as well.
Yeah, no player is out of their depth, you know, in that East Perth side because they're so consistent as well. I mean, look at the inside 50s they were able to supply 48 to 31. So, you know, East Perth's midfield depth in particular when looking at the whole side is more efficient, I would say, than, you know, anybody else in the competition, on par maybe with Peel Thunder as the two most efficient midfield units. While for the West Coast Eagles, besides Clay Hall's report, Harley Sparks made a lot of things happen for the Eagles. 29 disposals. Andrew Gaff, obviously, may see him in the waffle for some time. He had 21 touches as well. Clay Hall, he had 17 meanwhile. There just wasn't a lot there for the Eagles after half-time. They made a terrific start. You know, they kept right with the Royals in the first half. They gave it a red-hot crack. And especially, you know, when you have Cohen Livingston in the ruck as well, a former Perth Colts player, getting elevated to the league level at the West Coast Eagles, they knew they were going to find it tough against an East Perth side that have got depth in spades.
Yeah, Harley Sparks, nice that you pointed at him. He was probably the shining light for the Eagles on the day. But just going back to East Perth, a couple of players I wanted to point out. Their run off their back line is really good as well. Like Angus Scott, stand right with that left boot of his, which will feature in the state team, which is really good reward for him. So yeah, but a player I'm just thrilled about is Tommy Medhat.
Medhat,
I would go as far to say it in this early part of the season, he's probably one of the most improved players in the waffle.
I'd have to say,
last year I think he was playing reserves, and you know he's came across from West Perth a few years ago after winning a flag there at reserves or Colts level, and he's just kicking goals every week. Kicked 4 again on the weekend.
Impressive.
Looks to be, you know, really putting his hand up as one of the main drivers in that East Perth forward line.
He's a good marking player as well. He took 9 marks inside that 50 to go with his 4 goals. So he's really improved his game massively.
Yeah, and, you know, with Schofield potentially out for a while, that's unfortunate, but, you know, Medhat stepping up, it's sort of a like-for-like replacement, albeit they've been in the same team.
Absolutely. It could be a good replacement, you know, really, again, bolsters that forward depth even more and doesn't give too many problems away to other sides from East Perth's point of view. Massive win it was for the Royals, 73-point winners over the West Coast Eagles. To conclude round 6 as we take a look at the premiership ladder after 6 rounds. Peel Thunder, East Perth and South Fremantle, joint leaders of the competition, each on 16 points, but it's Peel Thunder that have top spot on percentage. Then comes East Perth and South Fremantle in that order. East Fremantle with 2 very good wins. They are back on the positive points scale, and more importantly, they are in the 5. They are in 4th. The Swan Districts with that win over Claremont, they jump into the 5 as well. Massive bonus for them. Then in the bottom half, Subiaco, West Perth and Perth also on 8 points. And then at the bottom half, who would have thought this? Claremont with only 1 win and the West Coast Eagles as well at the bottom half of the ladder. It's a very open competition at the present time, especially when you're going from 1st to 8th at the moment.
It can change week to week, can't it? Only last week we were saying East Fremantle, can they get off the bottom? And now they're suddenly on 8 points inside the top 5. Swan District's a bit of a dark horse as well, I feel. So they'll be looking to build off that momentum.
And, of course, we'll be looking ahead to a massive round 7 to see who can make the most of that momentum. Every game is live, free and in full on the AFL app. This is Around the Waffle.
Win. Win. Almost a win. Win. It's win-win at the Waffle. Great footy, food and entertainment. Find out more at waffle.com.au.
Okay, Ethan. You know what it's time for?
The votes.
The votes, that's right. The Player of the Year votes for round 6 of the 2024 season. We're going to start things off with 1 vote to Neil Erasmus of Peel Thunder. Came back into the side and, like, he never left. I mean, he was magnificent in midfield, saw a lot of the football, was very efficient and just remained that consistent, that remained on his consistent game throughout that afternoon against West Perth. 2 votes go to Isaiah Winder of South Fremantle. A little bit unlucky not to get more, but I reckon, you know, give him a few more weeks to really play that consistent midfielder's role. He's good in and under player, saw a lot of the football, but that is a first step into what could be a blossoming league career for Isaiah Winder. He gets the 2 votes. 3 votes, the debutant from East Perth, Darcy Craven, 4 goals, 17 disposals. Good on both feet. His skill in the forward 50 is impressive. His agility. And, you know, for a little fellow, he's absolutely incredible. I mean, he's good on his feet and very steady on his feet as well. So, job well done to Darcy Craven. 3 votes. 4 votes, Jesse Turner. Now, You know, many Swan Districts fans were saying to me, how is Jesse Turner not getting some votes? He was a bit unlucky in a couple of the games, I will admit. But that was a game where he needed to play out of his skin, and he did against Claremont on Saturday. Not only got plenty to the football, but delivered. His grunt work out of the coalface was absolutely impressive, so a job well done to him. And the Around the WAFL top gun of round 6 goes to Bryn Teakle of East Fremantle, just continuing his dominance in the ruck.
Absolutely, yeah. I think he might get a bit of attention for the mid-season draft yet again.
Yeah.
So, outstanding. And just looking at Darcy Craven's photo, we might have to update that.
We might have
to.
to.
Look, that's from his Colts days there. Obviously, looks very young, but 3 votes nevertheless.
Terrific effort from Darcy Craven and to all the vote getters. And where does that leave the leaderboard after round 6? Let's pop it up and give it to you right now. Bryn Teakle is the new leader of the Player of the Year on 8 votes, and then a multitude of players on 5. Hayden Schleuf, Oliver Eastland, Jacob Blight, John O'Mars, and Jacob Caniglio. And then rounding out the top 10 on 4 votes apiece is Jesse Turner, Mitch Crowden, Will Brodie, and Charlie Constable of Perth. Now, before we go, ladies and gentlemen, we want to introduce you to something really cool.
Introducing the WAFL Merch Shop, your ultimate destination for all things WAFL. From jerseys to scarves to caps, show your support for the WAFL in style. Grab exclusive merchandise now and gear up to cheer louder than ever before. Visit shop.wafl.com.au today and let your passion shine.
The WAFL merchandise store. Visit shop.wafl.com.au. Some awfully good WAFL apparel. Make sure you get yours today. Don't miss out. Ethan, great job from you as always. I'll see you on Thursday.
Will do. And yeah, as you just said, that waffle merchandise has been asked around for a while, a lot of people. So it's glad it's finally here, and make sure you jump on.
Magnificent stuff. Thanks, Ethan. See you Thursday. Listeners and viewers, we look forward to your company on Thursday on YouTube and where you get your podcasts. You can catch us on our socials as well, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Be sure to catch us on Thursday when we preview a massive Round 7.